Joseph, Jordy just spoke about your trajectory in the game and said it's similar to his, moving around a fair bit at the start of your career, but he sees you following a similar path. How does it feel to hear that from one of the game's greats?
Yeah, it's a great compliment from Jordy. I've always watched him as a young kid, and I've always admired his game, and for him to say that, it's pretty special words. I love playing all different positions. I feel like it grows. You grow as a player and as a human, trying to find out different ways to impact the game and become a better player. But he's someone that I really love watching film on, and someone I admire since a young kid.
Just on positional stuff, you've got the 10 on your back. Is that a scoot?
Nah. One day, hopefully the next, maybe when I'm like 30 something. But at the moment, playing at 13, I'm enjoying it. It's playing my part for the team.
Will it suit you to keep that 13 for the rest of the season for stability?
To be fair, I love playing the game of rugby, and if it's playing wing, 13, 15, it's just what the team needs. I've always said to Dan and Joe and the coaches that anywhere they need me to play, I'm willing to put my hand up and play there.
Would you like to be getting involved more or get more ball to get involved?
Yeah, I've always said the game of rugby, you can impact the game defensively, but with ball in hand as well. Without the ball, your off-ball effort, what are you doing around there? So that's what I've, trying to base my game around is, how do I impact the game, not just by hand and ball, trying to, do different things as well.
Is that a development for you? Because I suppose when you last played rugby, you were the star. You got, run 100, couple hundred metres probably every game. But is that a development or learning for you in this game?
Yeah, well, I feel like the game of rugby is one with it's a lot of the things that the fans don't see. It's the breakdown, it's the double efforts, it's a lot of things that the fans don't see. So I'm trying to base my game around there and still try to get my hand on the ball. But at the same time, I'm just doing what the team needs me to do.
Joseph, the rugby world's abuzz with the prospect of Zac Lomax potentially coming across like you did, and we've got others coming across as well. Would you like to see him in this code, and is there enough room for him? We've got a lot of wingers already.
Yeah, I feel like Zac, he's a special player. You've seen what he's done in league. If the opportunity for him to come across, I think a lot of rugby people would love for him to come across, but I'm not sure what he's going to do. But he can definitely play the game, I believe. I've only played one game with him, and I've played against him as well, so he has the ability to do it.
What did you see on the training paddock? Obviously, the Blues camp. What did you see that?
Yeah, well, Zac has the aerial ability. He can kick a ball. He's strong. He's fast. He's a very good rugby league player, and I'm sure that if he wants to come across, he'd be a very good rugby player as well.
Jordy was saying how any league players for him to come across and grow the game is a good thing. Do you also take that view?
Well, yeah, I think it's a great thing. I've done it myself. I feel like it grows the game. League's such a big thing in Australia that anyone that comes across, I feel like it grows the rugby game as well. So if the opportunity does come for Zac, I feel like it'll be a great move.
And it's one thing to talk about it, but how hard is it actually to code switch like you did?
I believe it's pretty hard. You've got to learn the little details of the game. It's a whole completely different game. I think people compare it, and I do believe it's a whole different game. But if you've got an open mind and you've got a growth mindset, I feel like a lot of people can come across, and then a lot of rugby boys can go to league as well. I feel like that's a thing these days a lot of people can do.
You've experienced the global aspect of rugby union. What can you say to Zac about what he may experience from that aspect if he comes across?
Yeah, I think the game speaks for itself. You get to play in different countries, England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales. I've for myself in the last year and a half, I've been able to experience all these different countries, and for my parents to come across as well, I feel like that's been a special thing. And for Zac, I'm not sure that I'm the one pitching to him. I think he knows that that's what the game of rugby brings to him. So I'm sure that he knows that's in the back of his mind to be able to travel the world. But at the end of the day, it's what he wants to do with his career and his decision.
On the Waratahs front, coming back from the bye undefeated, what's the message been from Dan in terms of how to build off this good start and turn it into a finals campaign?
Yeah, I think a big thing was to start the first two games fast. We wanted to be good. There's a lot of improvement in our game going into our next 5 games. I feel like that's where our season's going to be defined, and how we're going to do things. And this next game against the Hurricanes is going to be a great game for us to test ourselves against the best.
guess, Andrew Keller coming back at fullback, how much does it help just from a defensive perspective having someone as experienced as him at the back there?
Yeah, Andrew's ability to communicate on the field, I think that's the underrated thing that he brings. His leadership in that sense of being able to talk to other boys on the field, and his experience about being on the rugby field certainly helps me a lot. I feel like he's going to be a great inclusion for tomorrow.
I know you said you're focusing on the little things, but do you want to go hunting for the ball more?
Yeah, well, that's just going to come. I need to put myself in the right position. I've always said the game of rugby is just not about having ball in hand. It's you've got to be able to defend, you've got to be able to hit rucks, you've got to be able to communicate to different players. At the moment, I'm growing my game and I'm just building week to week.
So your message to your fans that might want to see you, making line breaks and all that kind of stuff, it's short-term pain for long-term gain as you know your development as a...
Yeah, I believe that, you've got to build your game. You're not going to, as I said, that, coming from league to union, it's a whole different game. You've got to learn to break down. I'm still learning. I'm still growing each day. The time will come. I'm still trying to find the ball in my hand. I just feel like it will happen, rather later than soon.
Joseph, I'm not sure if you played in Fiji, but the Canes were there last week. It looked like a very heavy track. Their legs might be a bit worn out, 6-day turnaround. Is that a potential benefit for you at the back end of this game, that they might be a bit weary?
Not really, to be fair. Like, we know that the Hurricanes are a very good team and they're very fit. They play the game of rugby really well. And for us, it's just sticking to our process and what we bring to the game of rugby. We've played some good footy the first and second game, but we're still building and we're still just trying to get better each week.
Just talking about Zac swapping, would you ever entertain down the track going back, or are you just totally happy, loving your rugby, you'd never think about switching back ever again?
No, I haven't thought about it once since I stepped foot here. I've loved every single moment I've had. Being able to travel and my new teammates that I've become real good friends now as well. So I haven't looked back and just building all the way to the World Cup. Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Got it? Thanks, guys.